Hey guys, glad you're here. It is Friday again, that means it's countdown day, and previously we have looked at the top 10 smartest Transformers, those with very high IQs, but what happens when we go the other way? Who are the least intelligent, the dumbest Transformers? As voted on by you guys, well, we're about to find out in the latest GotBot Countdown. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you're at it, light them up, baby. And hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors, NL, the Autobot family, Transformers vs. G.I. Joe vs. DC Universe vs. Marvel, and all my social media links. They are all in the description down below. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon, see what we offer to you through Teespring. Or, of course, you can hit the join button, become a channel member right here on YouTube. And this is the countdown, the top 10 list, as voted on by you guys, of the least intelligent Transformers characters. And there's a lot. Some of them are debatable, some of them are interesting. A couple of them I don't even understand because I don't really know the fiction that they come from real well. But it's very interesting how this turned out. We had a bunch of close races this time around until number one really kind of pulled out ahead of the pack, which eventually we will get to, of course. If I seem like I'm a little out of sorts, bear with me a little bit because it is very windy here and extremely humid as of this recording, and I mean extremely humid, and kind of uncomfortable. So I'm doing the best I can to get through this as we head into the weekend. If you're watching this any other time, hope you're enjoying your day. So, of course, we're going to start off with our honorable mentions first. And our honorable mentions have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 this time because 4 of them have the exact same number of votes. The ones that have the same number of votes are Beast Wars Quick Strike, as well as G1 Wheelie, who I don't know if he was... I hate to say it, I hate to give Wheelie credit, but I kind of think he was actually clever with his rhymes and stuff. Like, I think his mind worked more quick-witted than we give him credit for. It's just he sounds dumb because of the way that he speaks, but I actually think being able to string things together the way he does is a sign of like being clever. So I'm a bit iffy on him, but nevertheless he got the vote, so he made the honorable mentions. Tidal Wave, who I thought was going to be higher because really, does he say a whole lot other than Tidal Wave? You know, he doesn't do a whole lot besides saying that. And one of the Dinobots, Snarl. Snarl made it in the honorable mentions. Then we have a little bit higher. We have Beast Wars Inferno had a bunch of votes. I'm a little surprised about that. I never really thought Inferno was unintelligent. Maybe a little insane, maybe a little crazy. Maybe that's one to do up and coming later on, but I don't know if I would mark him necessarily as unintelligent, though, to be fair, there were times that he made certain, I guess mistakes during battle and whatnot. You know, he was told time and again by Megatron, stop calling me, Queen, and he still did it, so maybe he has a bad learning curve, I don't know, but he had enough to get the honorable mentions. And the last honorable mention, the biggest brute of them all, Bruticus himself. I kind of feel very comfortable saying that he just about made the list. And I mean just about. I thought he would, to be honest with you, but not quite. He was an honorable mention. So all of those great votes. A couple of them a bit questionable depending on your perspective, but the votes fall the way the votes fall. None of them made the top 10, so who did? Well, you know what we're going to do. We're going to start off with number 10 first. Much like Tidal Wave, number 10 does very little early on in terms of speaking. To be fair, though, I have to kind of go with the caveat of a little early because he actually becomes very intelligent later on in the series. I'm talking about Beast Wars Tankor. And as almost everybody did when they voted for him, in parentheses afterwards, before Rhinox's consciousness woke up inside of him. Once the Rhinox consciousness woke up, Tankor became very intelligent and very dangerous. Before that, he was kind of just a rolling brute of a tank. I don't even know if he spoke, and if so, what he said was very minimal in Beast Wars. I remember him sometimes saying, like, you know, Tankor, kind of like, you know, it might have been like Tankor Smash. Like, it wasn't much. He had low intelligence, and it was because they were keeping the Rhinox personality subdued. Whether you agree with it or not, whether you think, hey, he doesn't really qualify because Rhinox did wake up in him, the early Tankor that most of us know and love as Tankor wasn't the smartest guy. And for that reason, he takes the number 10 slot. Now, number 9 takes us to a combiner. And I can honestly say that this has the easiest justification of probably anyone on any list that we've done. I'm talking about Abominus. Because, and this is what most people said when they voted for him, he was explicitly paired up with his nemesis being the smartest combiner, Computron, because he was the dumbest combiner. I don't know if that's true that he was the dumbest combiner, but he definitely wasn't as smart as Computron. The difference being that Computron was very smart but slow to act because he had to kind of weigh everything out, as where Abominus was quick to act but slow to think things through. Special shout out to Blot. Blot in particular got some specific votes. Nobody else on the team did. Actually, Cutthroat got one. But Blot got a bunch of votes by himself, not enough to make anything, but he did get a bunch himself. However, Abominus as a whole got a ton, and that's why he took the number 9 slot. Number 8 is known for more of being angry and thoughtless, and because of that, he appears unintelligent. And he's angry and thoughtless because as a combiner, he suffers from his component members apparently not really getting along well. In fact, Motormaster needs to kind of put his thumb on everybody else to get them to act as one, to get the consciousness of Menasaur to be something that can actually do something. Because of the fact that they're not able to work well together and want to be doing their own things, and because that causes just so much blind rage within Menasaur himself, he does come across as being unintelligent. Whether that's an actual mark of IQ or whether it's because it's masked by other features of his character is unclear. Nevertheless, Menasaur as a whole got enough votes to solidify himself at the number 8 slot. Now, number 7 kind of confounds me because there's not a ton of fiction for the guy, and it's not across a ton of different fictions. Like, it's not across a ton of different continuities. That's what I'm looking for. And what little I personally know about him and like about him, he is somewhat quiet and brooding and mysterious, somewhat sinister. Of course, I'm talking about Spinister. Apparently, though, and again, like, my understanding is this is an IDW idea. I don't like that company. I don't like their ideas at all. I like nothing that they've ever done. But that's another gripe. You guys already know that. You've been here long enough. But apparently in that continuity, he is like an idiot savant, basically, where he is not intelligent at all. However, he does have a sea of brilliance in that apparently he's a brain surgeon. I don't like any of their ideas. I really don't. But I know that there's enough of a fan following and a rabid fan following that they immediately went to this guy. And they said, yeah, you know, and every one of them said the same thing. He's super unintelligent except for his one ocean of brilliance. And for that reason, he takes the number 7 slot. And would you believe that number 6 finally presents us with our first Dinobot on the countdown? One of the original 3 Dinobots, that being Slag, or Slug, whatever you want to call him. I'll forever call him Slag because I'm a G1 guy. He's a Dinobot. What more do you need to know? You know, what more do you need to know? And Slag is not only kind of not real intelligent, but he kind of automatically defaults to like brute force and violence and anger and rage. It's kind of like he can't think outside of those things and doesn't really want to think outside of those things. It's almost like he's happiest being cranky, and he doesn't even aspire to be anything more. Maybe he doesn't even realize he could be anything more. Anyway, he cut it. He got enough votes to tie himself up and solidify himself at the number 6 slot. And once again, here we are at the halfway mark, and I think the entry that comes in at the halfway mark is kind of very fitting for the list. It's a good place for this one to come in. It's a character, or actually a kind of a series of characters. You'll see what I mean when I show this one. But it's a character that I don't think has ever said a word other than a growl and a snarl here and there. I'm talking, of course, about Nah. Now, more specifically, a lot of people voted for the Sharkticons because I don't accept group votes. unless it's a group question, and it has to be specific characters, they all went lumped under nah. And a lot of people said, hey, that's fine, that's whatever, that's cool. But we all know that the Sharkticons, while you know, definitely full of brute force, they're easily swayed and easily led. There was even an instance where I want to say it was Cup and Hot Rod, but I could be wrong. I don't know who it was now. Had these guys kind of even turn on the quintessence for a little bit. Really, all they are motivated by is hunger and instinct. Their idea of thought is almost non-existent with these guys, and for that reason, because they're kind of, you know, mindless hunters, and that's about it, they had enough votes to tie themselves up, to set themselves in at the number 5 slot. Poor number 4. Number 4 is one of the not only unluckiest Transformers, but one that also doesn't get any respect. And you know what? He doesn't have a whole lot of intellect to help him along. I'm talking about dear Waspinator. Waspinator often struggles to even get out complete sentences. He often refers to himself in the third person. He struggles to remember the names of other characters, often just calling them by a description. Like, you know, Spider Lady, you know, right? Gets himself in trouble, believes he can do things that he cannot do, gets himself blown up all the time, kind of never learns from his mistakes. All of these things go into exemplifying that Waspinator, while there's something endearing about him, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, as the old saying goes. And for that reason, he takes the number 4 slot. And that only leaves us with 3. And number 3, thankfully, falls on a recent acquisition that I got by friend of the channel, Razor Bear, and I'm so thankful for his generosity. Number 3 is technically a character that became popularized in animated and is now kind of like a beloved fan favorite. I'm talking about Lugnut, who I always kind of equated as like the Decepticon equivalent of Bulkhead. Like, some people said, like, you know, he's not, you know, unintelligent. He's just super focused. No, he's unintelligent. There's no debating it. Lugnut's not smart. His name is Lugnut because he's a Lugnut. What he is an effective brute. What he is very strong. What he is very loyal. But he's never going to be a leader. He's never going to be the one who's going to, you know, really kind of take charge, because I don't even know if he has the aspiration necessarily to take charge. He's just a loyal Decepticon follower who does what he's told, kind of without really even thinking about it. If you need more proof, the light piping from my angle here is really picking up his eye. If you notice me a little transfixed, it's because it looks really cool from my perspective. But if you need more evidence, on the packaging for this guy, it specifically says that his intelligence is 3. It's not high. He's not a smart guy. But he's one that I love nonetheless, and he got enough votes to come in at number 3. Now, number 2 is the character that most often comes in at number 4, but he was bound to be on this list. I'm talking, of course, about the leader of the Dinobots, Grimlock. And we all know that, like, you know, generally, Grimlock's not intelligent. Generally, Grimlock is not a smart guy. He's a fighter. He's brave. He's bold. But in G1, he's not a smart guy. You know, in RID, it's arguable what his intelligence level is. In Cyberverse, the robot seems, you know, relatively intelligent, while the dinosaur mode is not. Though in something like Fall of Cybertron, I think that they were generally smarter there. Like, he varies. As a matter of fact, I was having the discussion with Starscream Wife, and she said, you know, like, yeah, okay, Grimlock's not smart, but at the same time, he did, unlike the other Dinobots, he did have that one episode where he became really smart. Remember Grimlock's brain, or Grimlock's new brain? And he did build the Technobots, who are arguably the smartest. So, she didn't vote for him. She voted for someone else. But a lot of people did, because a lot of people just generally know Grimlock and know, like, he's not smart. He's lovable, but he's not smart. And for that reason, he takes the number 2 slot. And for once, I can honestly say that number 1, and I don't vote on these myself, it's kind of not fair since I ask you guys the question, but for once, number 1 is actually the character that I would want to be number 1. It's the character that Starscream Wife herself voted for, and it's the character that, well, even the Dinobots think is the dumbest one. I'm talking about Sludge. Sludge made the list, and Sludge is my favorite Dinobot, but even the Dinobots know that this guy is the least intelligent of them all. He speaks so slowly. He speaks very little. When he does, it's very short, choppy sentences. He's an excellent fighter. He's a great brute. He's super brave, but he's never going to lead anything. He's lucky sometimes that he can find his way out of the ark to begin with. Funny enough, the three Dinobots, like Swoop never made it at all. Some people said all the Dinobots are equally unintelligent. The votes would not support that. The votes actually would say that Swoop is the smartest, followed by Snarl. Interestingly, both of those are the Dinobots who were built later. Apparently, the three least intelligent of the Dinobots would be the three original ones. Slag, who made the list, Grimlock, who made the list, and of course, Sludge here, who made the list. I absolutely agree with this. If you are so unintelligent that even the other team members in your group say, yeah, he's the dumb one of the group, then you know what? You probably deserve to take the number 1 slot. And there we go again. We've gone from 10 to 1. We had votes, though, that rolled in for everyone from Superion to Trigger Happy to the Alicon to Igor to Filch to Flame Feather. We had votes roll in for Scavenger, Bone Crusher from the movies, for Brawn, and even Optimus Prime. Because how many times could Prime let himself be taken out by Megatron? And a lot of people said Megatron because he never succeeded. So like votes came in for all kinds of characters. Rumble, Frenzy. I could go on and on and on. We could be here a week, you know? But you've seen the list. I, of course, already said that I agree very much with number 1. Some of the ones on the list I certainly would have changed, but that's just me. I'd love to hear what you guys thought of the list. Did your favorites make it? If not, who else would you have liked to have seen on it? Who do you think was a surprise that was on there that you probably wouldn't have expected to be on there? I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know, man, how important it is to you if you're in a position to help the channel to grow. There's a donate link in the description. You can check us out on Patreon, see what we offer to you through Teespring, or hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. Hit the subscribe button anyway. Stick around. Have some fun with us, man. And don't forget that somehow, someway, each and every single day, you do make a difference. And I look forward to the next time, baby, that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres or the old-fashioned way, right here inside the videos.